And so let's get to some of those issues. Or this one, I guess, is a little bit less about the issue, but more about sort of like judgment in the past and claims. And that is that Trump insists that he was not for the war in Iraq, even though there is audio of him on the Howard Stern program saying that he was for the Iraq invasion before it took place. And, Trump, he sees some wiggle room there. Let's listen to this exchange.
Mr. Trump, with a lot of these are judgment questions. You had supported the war in Iraq before the invasion. What makes your judgment?
I did not support the war in Iraq.
2002.
That is a mainstream media nonsense put out by her because she, frankly, I think the best person in her campaign is mainstream media.
My question is, since
would you like to hear?
Why is your
war. Wait a minute. I was against the war in Iraq, just so you put it out.
The record shows otherwise.
The record does not show that.
Why is your judgment?
The record shows that I'm right. When I did an interview with Howard Stern, very lightly, first time anyone's asked me that, I said, very lightly, I don't know, maybe, who knows, essentially. I then did an interview with Neil Cavuto. We talked about the economy is more important. I then spoke to Sean Hannity, which everybody refuses to call Sean Hannity. I had numerous conversations with Sean Hannity at Fox, and Sean Hannity said, and he called me the other day, and I spoke to him about it. He said, you were totally against the war, because he was for the war.
Why is your judgment better than...
And that was before the war started. Sean Hannity said very strongly to me and other people, he's willing to say, but nobody wants to call him, I was against the war. He said, you used to have fights with me because Sean was in favor of the war. And I understand that side also, not very much, because we should have never been there. But nobody called Sean Hannity. And then they did an article in a major magazine shortly after the war started, I think in '04, but they did an article which had me totally against the war in Iraq. And one of your compatriots said, whether it was before or right after, Trump was definitely, because if you read this article, there's no doubt. But if somebody, and I'll ask the press, if somebody would call up Sean Hannity, this was before the war started, he and I used to have arguments about the war. I said it's a terrible and a stupid thing. It's going to destabilize the Middle East, and that's exactly what it's done. It's been a disaster.
My reference was to what you had said in 2002. And
So now, Digby, you and I are old enough to know the relevance of 2002 as opposed to 2004. Do you want to enlighten some of the younger people in our audience here? Because we may have some 9-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean, this is... Look, this was in 2002. It's not as if nobody in the world or in the country was saying that they not to go into Iraq. We had massive protests all over the world. We had massive protests in New York. I went to them here in Los Angeles. I participated in a thing on the beach where we all did the peace dove. There were thousands of us there, and we did this. We got in a formation on the beach, and they took a big picture of it and stuff. I mean, this was a big deal. It was happening all over the world. In fact, if people recall, going into the war, the UN failed to approve the war. And that was because the people of places like France and Germany and others would not sign on to the thing because it was absolutely obvious that it was a stupid thing to do. Now,
wait a second, Digby. Are you saying that Trump? You did not see Trump on that beach with you?
I didn't. He wasn't there. He wasn't at the beach. I didn't see him at the protest.
Yeah, maybe
most of us weren't invited on Howard Stern to talk about this at the time. Those of us who were adamantly opposed to the war, we didn't get a chance to go, and we couldn't go on Larry King. We couldn't call up our pals at Sean Hannity, for instance, who, I don't know why Donald Trump didn't go on his show and say all of this, and he just said it in while they were sitting at their coffee klatch in the morning or whatever the hell it was. So, it's not as if Donald Trump couldn't have said something or that there weren't millions of people all over the planet saying something. He just, he just didn't have anything to, I guess he just didn't feel comfortable with it or something. But
I get it. What he's saying is he was lightly for it in public, but strongly against it privately.
Right. Well, that shows there's a bold leader for you. You know what I mean?
Well, I got to also be honest. Sean Hannity told me contemporaneously that Trump was for the war. No one's called me about that. No one has called me about that.
I can't believe that, Sam. I mean, wouldn't this just put the whole thing to rest?
I can put the whole thing to rest. Sean Hannity told me. Call me. Somebody call me. Well, the best part, though, is that apparently, in terms of the Cavuto thing, this is hilarious. Somebody tweeted this to me. So Trump says that, well, I said something, I was lightly for it sort of in 2002, but I did a Cavuto interview where I was definitely against it, an interview a year after the war started, at least, where I was against it. And then I told Sean Hannity private, but here's the... Hey folks, Sam Seder here. I just got back from a company-wide meeting. Accounting is really coming down on me hard. We need to get to 100,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So please enjoy this channel. Subscribe right down there.